Okay.
I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Pasadena Independent School District Board of Trustees in regular session on Tuesday, September 26th in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 1515 Cherry Brook, Pasadena, Texas, at 5:32 p.m. Board members present are Mr. Jack Bailey, Ms. Nelda Sullivan, Ms. Maricel Chiano, Mr. Kenny Fernandez, Mr. Marshall Kendrick, and myself, Vicki Morgan. Board members absent, Fred Roberts. Let the record indicate that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting is duly called, and that notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The invocation will be given by Ms. Sullivan and the pledges by Ms. Chiano.
Please stand. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for the many blessings that You've bestowed upon our life. We pray that You would be especially with us tonight as we discuss future issues of our school district. We pray that our constituents might be open and understanding of the many needs that we have to provide what's the very best for our students. We ask that You would be with the men and women who serve our country. We ask that You would be with the leaders of our country. We pray that a consciousness of loyalty might be bestowed upon the people of our country to realize the many privileges that we have and to take them seriously. We ask that You lead and guide and direct us as we continue with this meeting. Keep us ever in the center of Thy will. These things we ask in Thy name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Okay, the board is going to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.074 for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee for the superintendent's formative evaluation. 551.071 to consult with district's attorneys concerning matters on which the attorney's duty to the district under the Code of Professional Responsibility clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meetings Act. When the district seeks the advice of its attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer. 551.072 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. We will reconvene in open session at 7 p.m. We'll call this meeting back to order. And first on the agenda, we have a special recognition.
Board members, it is exciting for us to tell you about this. We have a guest tonight, Mr. Arlen Kethley. He's the owner of Paul Ryan Windows. Where is he at? We'll make you stand up, sir. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Mr. Arlen Kethley is the owner of Paul Ryan Windows, and he is a graduate of Sam Rayburn High School. So, yay. The reason he's here with us tonight is to present a $10,000 check to the Fine Arts Department for the instruments at Thompson Intermediate. And if we haven't embarrassed you enough, come on right up here. I want you to shake my board members' hands if you don't mind.
I can do that.
I'm going to keep telling you a little bit about him as we do this.
You're welcome so much. You're welcome.
He heard about our story on Channel 13, ABC 13, when Gina Gaston presented the story. Just to tell you a little bit about Mr. Kefley, he grew up in Pasadena. He went to Pomeroy, Southmore, and graduated as a Texan from Sam Rayburn in 1999. After graduating, he moved to Maryland for just a few years, but he couldn't stay away. Don't run off. Sorry. Okay, good. Sorry about that. He couldn't stay away from Texas for long, so in 2011, he started Paul Ryan Windows with the help of his fellow Texans, and it's become one of the fastest growing privately owned businesses in the state, as ranked by Inc. 500 last month, and he's number 6 in Houston. Giving back to the community is a very important part of his business model. Arlen would like to present Pasadena ISD with a check for $10,000 to go to buying instruments for students, especially since Pasadena ISD is close to his heart. So thank you, and Linda and Thompson, will you come forward? I think we'll take a few pictures.
Where we going, over here? Okay, I'm coming over here. I'll get in the middle. Get in the middle. I'm gonna be in the middle.
She'll take it.
Hold that check. I'm coming. Here, open it up. Did I sign it?
Wait a minute.
If it bounces, don't call me.
He signed it.
I signed it.
Oh, that is so neat.
Josh, can we get a picture?
I'm a marketing guy.
All right, thank you.
94, 5 to buzz on the weekend.
Oh, wonderful.
And we'll get you a copy.
He works at the radio station, 94.5, on the weekends, and then is his marketing person for his company. And we have the principal at Sam Rayburn here and his fine arts people for a different reason, but he'll come up and meet you. This is our current Sam Rayburn principal, Robert Stock. Thank you so much for being an awesome alumni.
Absolutely. I'm glad we could help you guys out.
Means the world.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you. Well, that was pretty much the awesome evening. No, we have a meeting.
Yeah, I think we can adjourn after that.
We do have a meeting. For those of you that don't know, I have a formative evaluation and a summative evaluation each year. And during my formative this evening, I was wanting to show a video on our upcoming election, our Proposition A and B, and I had some technology glitches, so I got marked down in that area, but otherwise, I want to show it. I'm kidding. I want to show the video now, so if Troy, if you'll kick that off, it will not hurt for everyone to see it.
Impact to the schools, Pasadena ISD. Our school district is standing beside the great communities we serve as we all rebuild together after Hurricane Harvey. While our school district has experienced our share of destruction and loss, we know our families were severely impacted. As a district, PISD has opened our doors to serve as shelters for those in need of a safe, dry place to stay when their homes were destroyed by the storm. In Harvey's aftermath, we have set up numerous distribution centers throughout the district to facilitate dispersal of the generous donations that were received. Pasadena ISD will continue to support our communities and our families in their long-term efforts to recover after this devastating storm, and together we will come back even stronger. For those of you not yet aware, in early August, the Pasadena ISD Board of Trustees called for Proposition A, a $135 million bond election for construction projects. Proposition A would pose no tax increase to the current 28 cents interest and sinking tax, and is necessary for PISD to continue to improve the facilities we have in our district and phase out older, less efficient buildings. The bond proposal also calls for maintenance upgrades, safety improvements, technology updates throughout the district, as well as new buses. Since Proposition A will not increase the INS tax rate, PISD is essentially asking for our taxpayer permission to spend the available bond monies on the recommended projects. The 2017 Future Facilities and Planning Committee reassessed and prioritized projects that had been cut out by the 2014 bond due to lack of funding. A detailed list of the projects has been finalized by the Board of Trustees and will be posted on our website. Our business office is expert at maximizing INS expenditures to keep a constant INS tax rate and make bond purchases on a 3 to 5 year basis. Thanks to our continued fiscal responsibility and our low debt ratio, our district can achieve this without a tax increase to our communities. Proposition B, the tax ratification election, or TRE, was also called in early August prior to Harvey. It seeks taxpayer permission to increase the district maintenance and operations, or M&O tax rate, by 13 cents per $100 home value. The M&O tax rate generates an amount of money for the daily operating expenses of the school district and is supplemented by funds received from the state. The amount of available M&O funds directly impacts Pasadena ISD's ability to offer competitive teacher salaries and innovative student programs. If the district's taxpayers approve the TRE, it will generate approximately an additional $16 million in local funds, but it will also require the state to allocate approximately $20.7 million annually in addition to its current contribution. If the district's taxpayers do not approve the TRE, the state will not be required to allocate the additional $20.7 million to PISD. Due to a lack of state funding throughout the last decade, Pasadena ISD has operated under deficit budgets for the past 4 years. Unfortunately, the district can no longer afford to operate at a deficit. Since the Texas legislature did not address school finance during the 2017 legislative session, Pasadena ISD was required to call for Proposition B to increase our funding in an effort to avoid staffing and programming cuts. We have not raised the tax rate in over 10 years here in Pasadena ISD, allowing us to hold steady at one of the lowest tax rates when compared to our surrounding districts. It's important for our senior citizens to know, those of you who are 65 and over, that your taxes will be frozen by the over 65 exemption and will not be affected by Proposition B. Please contact our Pasadena ISD tax office if you need further information about the over 65 exemption. We understand that these are difficult times for most, and unfortunately, the damage caused by Hurricane Harvey exposed an even greater need for additional funding. The storm's damage will only cause the district's already deficit budget to grow. Despite the loss and the tragedies that have taken place due to Hurricane Harvey, these days have also brought out the true spirit of the community in which we live. Pasadena ISD has witnessed and been part of true acts of courage, kindness, and unity, and the resilience of our students and our staff here in Pasadena ISD and the outpouring of assistance from across our state and country have truly touched my heart forever. I want to thank you for taking your time to listen to this message so that you and your family can make well-informed decisions. Early voting will start October 23rd and run through November 3rd, and then Election Day will be November 7th. Other district administrators and I will be going around the district and the community to talk to parents and community members like yourself about the 2 upcoming propositions. Thank you.
That's just part of our information items that will be presented at various meetings, whether it's with parents or community members, and there'll be handouts as well. So we just wanted to give you a preview of that before we make it public on our Facebook, website, and other sources. So thank you.
That's awesome.
Great job.
All right. Okay, we have no public comments tonight. We have had our special recognition, and it was special. We're going to move to the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Bailey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next is personnel section, consideration and possible approval of administrative personnel. Ms. Keano?
I move that we accept Addenda A for certified administrative personnel.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Keano, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Will you introduce this person, please?
Yes, we would like to congratulate Lisa Mirza. Congratulations, you have now the position of the Director of Technology Administration and Customer Services. Do you have any family with you? Do you have any family?
I just have my boss.
Awesome.
That's family.
Well, welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Kiana. Did we vote on this? I think so.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we did, I remember. Okay. No certified personnel, that's for information only. Moving to the educational section. We have a presentation on Williams Elementary and Sullivan Middle School targeted elements plan. Is that you, Karen?
It is me. She needs glasses too. There we go.
Me too.
So one of the requirements by the state when you have IR campuses is to have the board approve the targeted elements plan. So we want to discuss that with you guys and let you all see what our plans are. So the law, again, we have 39.054, and then the one that's very specific is 97.1061, and that is saying if a campus performance is below standard, then the campus must engage in the Texas Accountability Intervention System. And so that's what we're getting started with these two campuses. So the requirements are that there's quite a bit of technical assistance that is given to support these campuses as we try to move forward. So the four that are required are the district coordinator of school improvement, the DCSI, and that's been my role for the last several years. We have to hire a professional service provider from TEA, and that has been Glenna Shields, who helped walk us through the improvement required with gardens, and also did that with a couple of other schools and got those out very quickly. In addition to that, you have a campus intervention team, which is the leadership from the district, and then a campus leadership team in addition to that. A key that isn't on that list but is going to lead to the success is Dr. Palmer is the associate superintendent of both campuses and has begun working very, very closely from day one when we got the scores in to help them move forward. So the requirements, the intervention activities that are required by the state are to develop a targeted elements plan within the campus improvement plan, and we're going to look at that in a minute, to conduct TEA progress checks and adjustments. We've already had our first TEA check-in this month. Conduct root cause analysis, data analysis, and needs assessments. So those are going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. Create a targeted improvement plan, which will be submitted to the state. And then, of course, at the end of the year, look at our data and our reflections and hopefully pull these schools out of this label classification. Thank you. The good news is, well, let's just look at the first one, and that's what you're looking at today, is looking at targeted elements. They're concentrated areas of the campus improvement plans. They address areas of low performance identified through the 4 state accountability indexes, will be implemented and monitored throughout the year and must be board approved, which is why we're here tonight. And our targeted element plans are highlighting 4 areas: student achievement, leadership, school climate, and professional development. And I must say that before anybody from the campuses or Rhonda knew, okay, here's the requirements, these things were done with Rhonda and the leadership teams of these campuses before any list was given to them of what they had to do. Those were done early in June, and then we put the new titles from the state on the work that had already been done. So they're pretty amazing folks, and they have rolled up their sleeves and plan to make sure our kids are achieving the way they need to this year, starting now. So some things that are happening right now, public hearings at the school. You need to have an open house where parents are invited in and are given the opportunity to give feedback on what they would do to improve the schools. We have the board meeting that we're having right now. And then we have to submit these targeted element plans and then begin implementing them. I can tell you right now, the implementation again started back in June. So in your folder, you do have the campuses to implement plans. You'll see that there's similarity in the format, but each of them are individualized by the campus and the campus needs. Were done by the campus and the campus leadership under the leadership of Dr. Parmer. We also thank, and I thank the school board for this, we have Linda Wright, who has been with us for quite some time now, who's helped to walk the district through the paperwork and the maze of requirements that the state has. And by her doing all of that, we're able to stay on target with the real work of helping to be instructional leaders. So she is actually at the school improvement conference in San Antonio right now that she's required to be at. But her leadership has helped us a lot to make sure that we can stay on target. So with that being said, I know that you had these element plans, targeted element plans already. Does anybody have any questions? I did want to recognize our principals and assistant principal and Rhonda who are here. Glenna Shields wasn't able to be here tonight, but she has really walked with us beautifully through this process in the past, and so we look forward to her partnership with us.
This is just another one of those challenges, and as we've seen at Gardens, it was I know a hard row, but I'm going to tell you something. I believe that they came out stronger, and I believe that that's not something that you'll ever have to cross with that campus again. So I believe in you guys, and I believe that it's going to happen, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the days and months to come.
Well, I'm not surprised either that y'all are ahead of the game, ahead of the curve as usual. Rhonda, good job, and you'll come out of it pretty quickly. I'm very confident of that.
Me too.
No doubt.
Well, thank you very much, and if you have questions in the future, please don't hesitate to give me a call.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion for consideration and possible approval of Williams Elementary and Sullivan Middle School Targeted Elements Plan for the 2017-2018 school year.
So moved.
Well, that was, okay. Motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval of sole source purchase for the renewal of the Mizuni application annual maintenance for the 2017-18 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Bailey. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval of the lease agreement with NRG Stadium for the 2018 high school graduations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval of the 2017-18 high school graduation dates, times, and locations.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? I do have a question. Okay, Croy. I know several years ago when we first started this, we looked at being able to move down so that we could get closer to the weekend. Mm-hmm. Is that a way still? It is still
a ways away. If you remember, we are actually in a line of other school districts, and many of those other school districts have had those dates way before even we started utilizing NRG. And actually, we moved one day closer last year. If I remember correctly, it was Pearland, and we got to absorb their day. So we are always trying. I put in a request every year with NRG to move toward the weekend, but those are coveted spots by
Of
those
course they
districts, and of course, they do have first chance for
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think about our parents,
I know.
and it would be nice, and maybe someday.
Absolutely.
Maybe someday.
Absolutely.
I was pleasantly surprised when I looked at the cost, because although it's a lot of money, it's not exorbitant.
That
You
is
know, I
true.
mean, we're using that entire facility.
Yes, ma'am.
So-
I mean, and that pays for
It's
everything.
comfortable. There's plenty of room for everybody, and
Parking.
Parking is
Yeah.
not an issue.
yeah. So, I'm pleased with
Great.
what you all have done.
Thank
So,
you. Well, I will continue to ask every year,
Good.
okay?
Far superior to Hawthorne's. It allows so much more freedom to move around, and it's a professional facility
Yeah.
for a professional group of young people.
Yes.
And I
Absolutely.
think it's fantastic that we can do it.
Yeah, I do too.
And I've always said it's so neat for our kids when they walk into the stadium for the first
Oh,
time
yeah.
for some of them.
Yeah.
And they are in awe. So I get chills even now
know.
because they are in amazement, and we're giving them an opportunity, number one, that they're graduating, but B, number two, for their first time to walk in that facility. So
Absolutely.
I want to say thank you to each of you for allowing this, because it is a great day for them.
I have a question. Do I get a birthday cake on May 30th?
Absolutely. Okay?
my birthday.
Absolutely.
We'll remember that.
That is noted in the record.
Okay.
That is noted in the
I'll be
record.
there.
Pretty critical, Troy.
Any other discussion?
Any serious discussion?
Any other serious discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval of advised Texas contract and a memorandum of understanding agreement for 2017-18.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Ms. Keano. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor
This is
signify.
on which one is this?
This is on the number 5. It's advised Texas contract and MOU agreement.
Yeah, I have a question. We do this with A&M every year. Are there any other colleges, who is it, Karen? Do we have any other colleges that participate in this?
They're the ones who approached us. It's a grant that they have. So I'm not aware of anybody else. Nobody else has approached us since I've been in this position, offering us a counselor at $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty reasonable.
And in the past, we've had grants that covered that.
Actually, at first, their grant was much, we paid much less than this, but it's gone up.
It's a fantastic program. I've actually seen it go to work in Pasadena.
It's good work.
Yeah.
Sanjack has something similar, but it's really for them to give guidance towards the junior college.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval of the multiple grant awards from the State of Texas Governor's Office and Dollar General Literacy Foundation. Motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion?
Great job once again.
Hearing none other, let's move on. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval of South Houston High School Band to travel and perform at the McNeese State University Marching Contest on October 28, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Keano. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval for the Sam Rayburn High School, it says Texas Band, but it's Texans Band, to travel and perform at the McNeese State University Marching Contest on October 28, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries.
We have our band directors here. Who's going to win?
That was
They used to be
priceless.
partners and now they're competing.
That was a priceless look.
Should have had a camera on that.
Yeah.
They will both win. How about that?
Yeah.
They'll both win.
Yes,
There you go.
amen.
Jeff, how's your back?
I know,
It's healing. I'm okay. I'm getting more mobility every day.
And you got your color back in your face.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I know that we anticipate having and have had student achievements throughout the district, but we're not showing any in the board book tonight. Next, we have normally policy update or review. We have none. We're going to move to the financial section. Consideration and possible approval of the property damage only release for the marquee at Pasadena High School.
So moved.
Second.
Was that you, Mr. Kendrick?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Moving to the operations section. Consideration and possible approval of professional services consulting agreements with Value Technologies, Surveying and Mapping, and West Belt Surveying, Inc.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bailey, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval of the Future Facilities Committee recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Keano, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Kendrick.
The work being done, that's been done, has been great. I don't know how we can, I think we ought to pass it for sure, but with the two options, because we have no idea until November what the cost of Thompson's going to be. With that caveat, I have no problem.
Well, and your most recent sheet that was put before you tonight, we have the new Riverstone Ranch Intermediate. I think I agree with you that we continue to look at the demographics and the insurance costs related to the rebuilding of Thompson, and we communicate that clearly to our community that those factors are still up in the air. I think our committee really got a handle on the demographic side of it, but the insurance part is still 5 weeks out minimum, correct, Kevin? And John have been in those meetings as well. The committee, and I want to recognize them if you don't mind, board members, some of them are here tonight. If you served on the committee, if you'd please stand on the Future Facilities Review and Planning Committee. I want to thank them for their time. We have one of our dedicated parents, Edie Cantu, is here, so thank you for coming tonight. This committee went through a process of not only discussing the continuation from our 2014 bond, where we did a no tax rate increase bond and what the needs were that were left out of that bond, but also the current needs. They went through a process of not only discovering what those were and talking about those, but they went on to visit campuses, and that's where the Red Bluff Elementary site was chosen to be replaced. They took 4 from the 10 that were listed at the original bond discussion, not only in 2014, but again now in 2017, and narrowed it down to Red Bluff Elementary. The transportation facility and site work, maintenance operations and warehouse facility, the facility and safety upgrades, technology improvements. I know Linda will jump up on this one, the fine arts instruments that are much needed, the new buses, and facility management. So I just want to recognize them for their work going through that process, giving us their feedback for us to arrive at the $135 million and how it will be allocated.
Thank you, Dr. Powell. Any other discussion?
I think that it's a proven fact that this district has been very prudent with funds. Want me to start
Yeah.
over?
Hope's proud of you.
We'll let her know.
I think it's a known fact that this district has been very prudent with funds that the community has provided for us in the past. And we'll do the very same with this. And as Dr. Powell said, there might be some changes along the way because we all know that Harvey created a lot of unknowns for all of us, not only for materials, but for workers and other items that go into building and repairing facilities. So my only regret is that we can't do twice this much and do everything that our committee looked at. And so we're going to go in this with a positive mode to spend the $135,000 to do the very best that we can. And we're going to go to the polls and elect legislators that will look at public school funding and realize that we're doing a great job for the students in our district and that we need the money to continue to do it that way. I was amazed today, if you listen to the late news, they're talking about using the rainy day funds for flood victims. My heart breaks to think that it was not even considered to use any of those rainy day funds for education of our students. So let that be an open note to all of us. Public education is very important to us as individuals, but it's more important to our students. And we're going to keep working on that. This board meets with other agencies and other districts to work out ways to continue to get the message across about public education. And each of you can do that in your own way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the approval of the Future Facilities Committee recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. And we certainly do thank you for your service to this district. Next is construction update. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we'll move on.
Yeah, that's last. She was asking about the audit presentation.
Okay.
It's in the
Who was asking
miscellaneous.
about that?
Karen.
Okay. Then we're going to move on to the miscellaneous section. Communications. We didn't have any communications in here.
No,
did we?
none.
No communications. Public comments, none. Consideration and possible approval of the 2017-2018 internal audit schedule.
So
And
moved.
do we have a presentation? on
Yes, we
this?
do.
Let's
Ms.
wait.
Davis.
Good evening. I am going to actually start, since we last met, I think it was back in November, so I'm going to give an update on the corrective action audits, and that is on your handout on page 2. And these corrective action audits were the audits that were actually presented back in the November meeting. And you will actually see that for the majority part, these campuses that are on here actually made the recommended recommendations or corrections that I actually recommended during my audit. Burnett actually had 100%. They actually took all of the 4 that we recommended. And you'll also see Summit. They would have had 100%, but 2 items we weren't actually able to test because they actually did not have any items to test during that scope that we were testing. But the other campuses as well were not too far behind them. They actually did make the changes that we were recommending. So that's on the corrective action side of it. Going forward, since just to give you a recap regarding what we have been doing since January until now. So we have actually audited 16 campuses. 7 of those are elementaries, and that's on page, I think it's page 3 and going all the way to page 8. But it's your bullet item number 2. I kind of skipped one, but I will come back to that. So it's 16 audits that we have actually completed, 7 elementary, 3 intermediate, 3 middle schools, 2 high schools, and 1 investigation. Total for the year, we actually have completed 25 audits, and that is an all-time high for my team. And the breakdown of those campuses are on your bullet number 1. And looking at page 3 and 4, you will actually notice that there is some red. However, there's not as much red as we actually had in the past. The majority are from, really at the beginning campuses, which is audit number 2016-05, 17-01, and 2017-02, and those are the audit numbers that we assigned. So it's Sam Rayburn, San Jacinto, and Pasadena. One of the things you'll notice that the red are sporadic, except for maybe one of the items, and that's actually item number 17. And that is actually dealing with reporting donations. I did actually analyze that piece of it, and we were actually able to eliminate a process for the campus. We worked with Cindy Palmer and her team to page 3 and 4. And then it's on your summary on page 1. So it's actually bullet number 3 under the audits reports finalized. So on item number 17, we were able to eliminate a process for our campuses. And now we have Cindy Palmer's team that are pulling those donations to ensure that they're actually reported to the Board of Trustees. And then that became effective on July 1st of this year. But for the most part, you'll see that on the campus side of it, they're doing really, really well, better than they had been. Moving over to the organization assessments, and this is page 5, 6, 7, and 8. So these are the individual activity groups for the campuses. So this is going to consist of your band, choir, orchestra, and speech, and all those organizations. You'll notice that under the management of activity funds, we are still showing a major weakness. And we have actually started to tackle those areas. One of the ones that we actually tackled this past time was the scholarship process. And that actually we worked with Karen McCarley's team to establish those procedures. And those actually were rolled out to the campuses in around May. One of the things that my team actually has been doing, and that's on page 9, we've actually been handing out a little individual kind of like resources. This one in particular was with the Fine Arts meeting that was held in August, and I was working with Linda Fletcher and her team on this. But basically, I analyzed all of the activities regarding fine arts, and I detailed some of the areas that we need their help. And also, there's helpful links that I attached to that resource. So hopefully, this resource will help our staff members realize the importance of management of funds and everything that goes with handling an activity. One of the challenges that actually my team is actually facing right now is still records retention. We're finding that some of the records that we actually request are not available. So that is just something that we're trying to work through. A great case is actually South Shaper Elementary. Whenever we did their audit, they had a really great process regarding their records retention and how they actually store them for archive. Any questions that I can answer?
Maritza, I have a question. You said you saw a weakness in the scholarship area. What kind of weakness are you talking about? What was going on?
Basically on that, we have the different activity codes, and actually monies that have been donated to the campus were actually just deposited into one of the activity code and not into the separate, like if Coca-Cola was making a donation, or we had one from Lyondell, it was all actually in one. So it was difficult to actually see if it was awarded or not. So we also had some scholarships that we did receive that were not awarded.
Oh, wow.
So what happens in those cases?
They'll have to award it.
The following year.
How unfortunate.
Oh, God.
That is.
What was your investigation?
That investigation was actually South Houston High School, and it was the drama program.
Maritza, you said lack of keeping records. Are they just not saving financial records, or are they not filing them, or?
They're actually, we're finding at the end of the school year, they just kind of get accidentally thrown away.
She's talking about activity accounts.
Activity
not
accounts.
Secretaries.
These
or
are not
bookkeepers.
secretaries, these are more on the activity side.
I don't understand. It's been a problem forever. I mean, that's, I came from the volunteer side of the organization, and I know what needs to be kept, what should be kept, and what's not kept. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not kept to keep somebody like you from finding it. And, these organizations handle thousands of dollars each year. And it's so unfair to the students and to the people that have worked hard to get those donations. I don't know how we can correct it.
I think we're going in a better direction
I do
because
too.
the
We are.
ASCDs, Linda, for example, as you mentioned, and others with organizations have started doing pre-audit checklists.
That's awesome.
So that they can know what to have prepared when Maritza and her team come in. So they're, ahead of the game and not digging and searching for things. We know how fast things happen at a campus.
Yeah.
It's at a lightning pace. So when they know they're being audited, they can slow down for just a minute, go through that pre-audit checklist and get organized and be ready for them. So we're going in the right direction. Maritza and I meet monthly and we talk about the areas that were discussed. I brought Maritza back to have her reports with you so we can be very transparent about where we need to improve and go forward. But I won't speak for Maritza, but I'm I guess pleased with the direction that we're going.
Thank you, Maritza, for
You're
what you're doing.
welcome.
I really appreciate it.
This is a great improvement, Rich.
Yes.
Really is.
Definitely.
Camp's done a much better job. Thank you.
You would certainly hope, though, that you need to announce that you're coming to do an audit for people to keep the records that they should be keeping. I mean, you
Well-
would really hate to think that. So, and that's all I'm gonna say about
I agree with that.
The surprise audits might not be so good if that was the case.
And we do that
And-
with investigations if there's a concern or area of weakness. But when we talk about, fine arts people or athletics or other areas, I mean, those people are very busy and sometimes just need to be told what they do need to have prepared and what they need to keep and be reminded. Personnel changes influences some of these red areas. Two of the high schools you mentioned, there's a personnel issue that had to be looked at and decided about. So there's things that we're constantly talking about in our monthly visits as well.
In the audit schedule for this coming year, we are going to incorporate some spot audits within that.
Good,
I think that's great.
good.
And this is your schedule that they're
That is the schedule, yes.
Gonna be busy.
in addition to.
It's challenging, yes.
Thank you, Maritza.
You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
So we're going to we're up for consideration is the possible approval of the 2017-18 internal audit schedule.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Kendrick. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next is to set the date for the next regular meeting. Suggest Tuesday, October 24th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Keano, seconded by Mr. Bailey, that Tuesday, October 24th be the next regular board meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. And this meeting is adjourned at 7:55.